All right. So today I'm sitting down with Eric Clark from Where2Hunt podcast. Thank you for joining me tonight. It is just on this beautiful day. To give you a little setting where we're at, we're actually recording at the Train to Hunt event here in the lovely Tyrol Basin. Brian Austin was gladly enough to ask us both to be part of this here. And then also Nate McCree, the owner of this place, is just a humble gentleman, and it's really nice to be become brought back. And I've been doing live streams, as you guys have seen. This podcast is going to come out after the event, of course, but it's going to have more value to it. And with bringing and talk about Eric here, we're going to talk about like what's going on in both of our lives and like what kind of brought us together in a sense. But now, what do you know about the Train to Hunt event?
I know what you told me about it and what I'm seeing with my very own eyes kind of unfolding today. So I wish I had the time to compete in it. I have a really competitive nature, and being here is making me feel like I just want to go jump up. But time commits our struggle. That
is very true. And plus, you have a little one, a baby on the way, a wife. So your time is very valuable. So it's like, I understand. It's like I got to do a trial run here a couple weeks ago, and it really whipped me into shape, and it showed me what I needed to work on. And I noticed that it's like the thing I noticed the most was my knees, and it's like my tendons were weak because I have a sit down job now. I'm no longer on my feet. But so what I learned from it is I took it and I put it in the gym, and this way luckily for me at my gym we have a stool or bench that it's 18 inches high, so just shy of the 20-inch box. So I step up, step down, I do 10 of those, then I go walk another 200 yards, run 200 yards. But what I do on the incline is I have it all the way to the max up. It's 15, so it's like I can just feel the acid building and the lactic acid in my calves and stuff like that. But it's a good way to regain that strength, because where I hunt now, it still has some ridges, but it's not as deep as my previous hunting property I used to hunt at. So it's one of those things where it's like, it was a good learning experience. Yeah. And being with Brian, he's the director of this event. He's gone to several of them throughout the years. There's a couple of people here that are actually been to 13 events all across the country here. Talked to one gentleman. He's on the live feed. He is from Sacramento. So he made it all the way here because this is the last qualifier before the finals in Colorado at Brian's going to shoot me for this, but I can't recall the resort it's going to be at, but it's going to be pretty intense.
You can always insert it later, maybe.
That's very true. So do you have any questions about this whole event?
Yeah, I guess the preparation for it, not just on the training side, but, I notice people bring their own bows. They're bringing their own packs and things like that. So, the preparatory work that goes into this, when should someone start training? What do you need to get to be able to do this if you don't have some of that particular gear? Because it all looks pretty uniform, but I know it's all very individual.
Well, first off is having a bow, obviously. That's what the whole thing is. And then to getting yourself prepped for it is just doing the calisthenics and the endurance, because that's what really gets you is the having the stamina to participate in this. Because as you've noticed, they'll jump over the box, they'll do burpees, then they'll do 200-yard run, come back, and then shoot with all of that emotion.
Part of that run is uphill from what it looks like.
It is uphill, and I've ran it, so it's like it's just a gradual hill up there. And the way that this family's it's like a family here, and it's all about encouragement. There's nobody speaks badly about you. If you have to quit, do it. It's all about health, because it is quite hot today, and if you notice, that's a very, very steep hill.
It's a ski hill resort that we're at, for the record. So yes. For those that are not sure what we're looking at, we're literally watching people hike with a 50-pound pack on their back, carrying a bow in their one hand, and hiking up the steepest ridge of above them is the lift carriage. People just kind of strumming along, and they're down there suffering on the hike up.
Oh, yes.
It reminds me of California. In boot camp. We had the Reaper, and we had this giant hill that looked like the face of a cliff, and it was treacherous. But back then I was 17, 18 years old. I'm 33 now. And so my mind thinks I could dominate this, and my body would be like, you're an idiot. You can't anymore.
Yeah, it took me, when I attempted the course, it took me well over 45 minutes, because it's just walking it up and then coming back down. It's like just letting myself know. It's like I had to be careful, because my knees weren't my tendons weren't strong enough in my knees, and if I stepped wrong, it's a long way down. And it's like everybody that could possibly come and grab a ATV is with me. So it's like you have to walk all the way back down, grab the ATV, and run all the way back up. It's like well, I just got to take it slow and go from there. And there's several different classes from it. I did write some of these notes in my podcast notes from my podcast with Brian and Nate. Let's see here. So you have teenage boys from 13 to 15, and their weight challenge is 30 pounds. That's what they throw over when they're in these little packs. So the sacks. Then they have the pack weight has to be 30 pounds too. So they're carrying 30 pounds up the hill plus their bow. And then they also have to shoot too.
At the top of the hill too?
At the top of the hill, there's a few other targets you have to shoot to, and everything is counted too. So from 12 all the way down to 1. Now, when you're here, as we're looking at the window here, these guys just got done shooting and such. And what they have to do is if they miss, they have to do 20 burpees. And if they make it, then they go on to the next thing, which is pretty cool. Then you have the teenage girls, which there isn't any here, and that's from 13 to 15. They do 20 pounds for the weight challenge weight and the pack weight. Then you have the open class, which goes from 16 to 39, which we would fall into. Now that's a little challenging because it's 50 pounds for the sacks here, and then you have the pack 50 pounds, all at that. So that's what they do. And the nice thing is Brian has been able to get other archery or shops involved with this. So we got lacrosse archery here with Anthony Schmidt and his team, and they're performing in different classes as well. And so he did a event there earlier this year. Then he's mostly here based in Madison, and he wants to get people in Milwaukee and all the way up in Green Bay. Now, I had a friend of mine, Craig, that is just fitness worthy. He's just got the mindset for it. He's just shredded. He's a really nice gentleman. We've been trying to get a podcast together, but now since we're in the summertime, it's just things have changed for the two of us. And it's like and I got the wedding coming up, so it's like my mind is not being able to make all the way up there. We tried doing it this winter, but we get an ice storm. So it's like, I'm not driving up to Green Bay.
Vortex that hit us.
Oh man, it was rough, but I'd like to have him come down here, introduce him to Brian, and see how he can become a trainer or a teacher of this, because he does CrossFit up there, and it's like, well, this is CrossFit on steroids. The best part is you get to shoot a bow. It's like the only downside is most gyms don't allow you to do that. I have the AccuBow, so it's like when I'm at after work, I go work out. I bring the AccuBow with me, and that's how I just train with that. And it's like there's no let off, so it's like you pull everything, and all I'm focusing on is the basics, the fundamentals of feeling all the muscles and such. And going from there. And I really like the AccuBow. It's very well designed. It's very simplistic, so it's easy to fix. The cool thing is they've added a new mount for your phone, so you can actually do Olympic archery and also do hunts with it too.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, and they have it for Android and they have it for Apple. So it's a very nice way to do it. And I'm sure, like you were explaining to me earlier about your Where2Hunt app, with Apple, I'm probably sure they have a lot of pushback.
They have a lot of gates that you have to get through to, become part of their ecosystem on iTunes. Whereas Android, it's a little bit, they'll take anything to some degree, a couple hoops, but not nearly as many.
Now, to break down some more of the classes, then we have the men's master. Now, that puts you in the 40 to 49 range, and that's 50 pounds for the challenges, and then you have to carry 40 pounds up around. Then you got the men's super masters from 50 to 59, where it's 30-pound challenge, 30-pound pack. And then you have the men's senior masters from 60 plus, which is 30-pound challenge, 20-pound weight. And there's a few out there that are doing it. Fred, I've tagged you in a couple of videos that I post online, and he is quite a inspiration because he does Ironman. He's done several marathons, and he's doing this right here. And he's only started shooting. He just recently started shooting archery in February. Then he got diagnosed with cancer, and he beat that. So now here he is today. He's out there. Should be coming in here shortly, and he's just a really, really nice guy. He volunteers. He does stuff for veterans. He does stuff for halfway houses. He's just a very big, open heart when it comes down to this gentleman.
That's good to see people that can give like that. That's a big heart kind of person.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too is like getting back to your question regarding what gear you want to have. It's like, one, you want to have a good solid pack. So it's like. Most of these people that are doing this have the opportunity to go out west or coming from the west to come to east to perform at this event. So you'd want to look at nice packs. Like I use a field and stream pack, which is perfect for me. It's like I walked it with my pack through. I didn't put I went up at empty, but I had my ball on there, and it's like I felt confident with not having to worry about fall off. Which is the biggest thing. And then people here have the Badlands. They have Mystic Ranches, which is pretty much the premier one to go with because they based their technology off of military and oddly enough, firefighters.
Oh, that makes sense.
So that's where their platform comes from. It's like they need these guys to survive out there, so that's what they design it for them. So then now it's only been recently open to the public, because Mystic Ranch has been around forever, and if you want to learn more about it, you can check out Randy Newberg's podcast. They've been on there 2 or 3 times, and it's always fun to listen to them about the new gear they have coming out there. They really pay attention. They have a great lifetime warranty on them. So then shoes, like
that's an important one.
Yes, I don't recommend shoes, or if you do get shoes, make sure they're very form fitting. So this way, then you have full control, because when you're going down the hills and your feet are sliding forward, well, now you have run the risk of getting blisters. You're going to have shin splints. You're going to.
And it rained a lot yesterday.
It did.
Too, so it slicked up the course a bit.
When I came in last night, I saw a lot of downed trees and such like that. I don't know what it was like this morning, because I came in last night about 9 o'clock and I camped out here in the elements. It's like you saw my setup. It's like just a blow up mattress in the back of my truck and a 10x10 awning, and it worked out great, you know. And it's like I got a little chilly about 4 o'clock in the morning, so I threw on some socks, and then the waking up to the birds is just really cool. It's like you're kind of like living the experience of actually going on a backpack hunt.
Yeah, and so I had on my show on the Where2Hunt podcast last week, Joe Gilia, which I'm surprised I got his name right.
Yes, you did,
with Elk Bros, and he's out of New Mexico. I'm glad I got that right too. It's weird how my mind can actually work when I want it to. But this seems like a great event for people. I see Anthony Heller running past right now. A great event for people that do elk hunting, because it is mountainous. It is that pack kind of mentality. You have to have those things versus whitetail hunter. A little bit different, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've gotten more into sitting in a tree stand, being a ground blind, just because I find it a little more of a challenge, because it's like now I got to be careful how I call, because there's been times where I've been calling, I've had deer walk up behind me, and it's like, and then all of a sudden just run off. It's like, oh well, there goes my hunt for that day, because it's like the parcel of land I hunt on is only 5 acres, and it's like I'm at a funnel point for where they bed at and such like that. And last year was a little rough for me because we had a very wet, so we had a lot of acorns. The corn was still in the fields up until November, so it was past the rut, and so trying to get them out of there, good luck. I mean, I tried doe and estrus, doe and heat, peak estrus with Cooks. With
Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, exactly. So, and if you listen to any of my introductions, I always name Where2Hunt podcast and the episode 54 if you want to learn more about it. I mean, it's a really good episode. It's by far one of my favorite ones, because the way you walked him through it and organized the questions, it's like it changed the way I thought and how I looked at my hunting season and how I set everything all up. And so it's just I'm using that knowledge to tack on to it, because I've been hunting this property now for 4 years. I'm still learning things about it.
Yeah, the whole idea that he presented to me, which was a new, there's these nuggets that come out of podcasting that I wouldn't have known to ask the question to get to the result there, but through that conversation, he had mentioned Rich with Cook's Fatal Attraction, said it's like getting inside that buck's head, and now it's a psychological warfare, because you're using the sense of other mature bucks to draw them out, to say, hey, who's this other big guy in the neighborhood?
And the nice thing is,
I never thought of it that way.
And the nice thing is, like when he was on your podcast, he was using 5.5-year-old buck urine.
Yep.
Now it's 6.5 or 7.5 years. So it's like now they're much more dominant. So it's like he just has down, and plus it's CWD free. It's way up in the boonies in northern Minnesota, which is good for him. And now it's like we've found some traces of CWD just like 30 miles south of where I hunt.
Wow. Okay.
And the DNR and the 2018 tagged a doe, and that doe went over 80 miles.
Holy crap.
So, and it's all long 52 going up to Cannon Falls, all the way back down. So it's like, considering how fast CWT can spread by just looking at that data is ridiculous. Yep. The biggest thing is, it kind of irks me, is that I see a lot of dead deer on the side roads, and I don't see Iowa going after it, and I don't see Minnesota or Wisconsin checking those down deer to find out if they have CWD.
Right.
Because it doesn't take a break. It's year long.
Yep, that's true. Right, it's not like hunting season.
Yes, exactly. So, Eric, why don't you give us a little background on the Where2Hunt podcast? What was the inspiration behind it besides the app?
Sure. So it started. I think I created a Facebook page called Where2Hunt Wisconsin in 2011.
Okay.
And at the time I was working for a web marketing firm in Wisconsin, and I was really big in search engine optimization. That's what we sold. That's what we did. That was like our bread and butter. And so I became really familiar with that. And I had found that the search term Where2Hunt Wisconsin was the most highly searched phrase, as it related to hunting, right? And at the time there wasn't really any results. So I was literally trying to actively find. I stumbled on it by trying to find where could I go to hunt public property. And it was before the DNR had made a lot of their more robust mapping tools. It was before MFA was kind of busted for a lot of people kind of landlocking things. And as a result, there wasn't really a community to go to actually talk to people about, hey, have you hunted this area? What does it look like here? And trying to lift hunters up and help each other rather than being so guarded about that's my spot. I don't want anyone to know. Yeah. And so when I launched that, I went from 0 to 10,000 followers perceivably overnight. Not really, but it felt
I know what you
way.
mean. It took a minute, but that's very impressive.
Yeah. And so as a result of that, to me then, a friend of mine, Shane, we started something called the WildernIP podcast.
Okay.
And this was, I think, 2012
right.
Or 2013, somewhere right in there. And I didn't know what a podcast was.
All right.
I'd get in his car, and he's pretty nerdy. It's okay that I call him that. And
I think we all are at this point in time. It's like, except we like to go and shoot for food, hunt for our food.
He's the kind of nerd that can, do database schemas and programming languages and whatever. So I'd get in his car, and he'd be listening to stuff. I'm like, what radio station? He goes, it's not a radio station. This is a podcast. I'm like, I don't know what that is, Shane. What is a podcast? And he's like, well, it's a radio show that lives on the internet, and really there's any subject matter you could go to find and like. And so I was looking for hunting podcasts, and there weren't really any at the time that I was really drawn to. And I think really at that time it was myself and Mark Kenyon who had Where2Hunt. So then the naming convention was really weird because I was Where2Hunt and he was Wired-Hunt, and we both had W2H. And we discovered that after the fact. He obviously, had worked for Google, quit his day job, and did it full time, and I did not work for Google, nor did I quit my day job. And so, you can see where things ended up. But that's how it started. So after WildernIP, I was like, okay, well, this isn't too difficult. I think the next logical step for me to connect this community further is let's talk to the community. Let's bring these people that are participating onto the show, and let's start to learn. And so that's where it was born. And then simultaneously, the app was being constructed and built too.
Okay.
So, I like to bite off more than I can chew and just chomp on it.
Apparently,
and see how far I
but
can get.
it keeps you focused on it. And like when I sat down trying to figure out what did I want to do, because I bought all this equipment almost 2 years ago. The mics I've recently purchased because it's like I recognized I need to have solid quality. But like, what is going to make my podcast different? Because it's like I don't want to copy yours because yours is solid. Because it's like you bring people and give them tactics to improve their own hunt, for whether you're an amateur all the way up to a pro. Because like listen to some of them, how they look at the communities and how they mark the trees and all the stuff that I picked up over the last 6 months. Is like, this is insane. So like, what can I do? And it's like, I've always liked talking about politics stuff and science and history and all that fun stuff. Like that's what I could do. Because like, that's why I brought on Kurt Hennington from Expeditions, which is going to air pretty soon. I got TJ Hauge on here, that guy is just so passionate about the outdoors in his position with it. And today's actually his birthday. So happy birthday, TJ. Birthday. And so it's like Bryce is here. So it's like he's giving you a little grief this morning. So when you listen to this podcast, you can always give him some grief back. But that's what I thought, what I want to do. And it's like, and I wanted to bring people in that has like core values, like what really infuriates them. And it's like, this could be a good way to bring up the common voter. It's like, what are you upset about? Talk about it. And it's like, and as long as you execute it and it's interesting, let's go for it. I've had some podcasts last over 2 hours just because we were learning so much off of each other. And it's like, hopefully what we learned was something that could be passed down to somebody that's in like these young ladies here in the room here, because we want to, because like I try to keep this as PG-13 as possible. There's every once in a while you're going to hear an F-bomb or an S-bomb drop, but it's like, it's something where I want my daughter to listen to with her friends. Or it's like, that was my thoughts behind it. Cause it's like, hopefully a dad's listening to this and he's got a daughter that's 3 or 4 or 5. And it's like, well, maybe this could be a good way to start listening to it. And if this is a good way for them to bond over a fun activity, because you make memories outside. You don't make memories look in front of a TV.
Correct. Yep, not indelible ones anyways. The ones that stand out are the ones where you have an actual experience.
Yeah, exactly. Like my
you're
dad
not gonna remember that Call of Duty kill that you got but you're going to remember that buck kill that you got.
Oh yes, and you remember all the work up to that, and seeing him in years before, because like the buck I shot a couple of years ago, I watched him for 3 years, and it's like, and he finally became legal, because in Minnesota, depending on what zone you're in, you have to have 4 points on one side, which I absolutely like, because in this way then it keeps the breeding age older, and you're always getting more of a mature buck, because then it's so much more of a fun challenge, but it's not necessarily, it's all comes down to the population. So I was like, well, it is what it is. But just watching him come in and putting that arrow through him, I was like, yes, all that hard work. And it's like, and it's
gratification.
It's like, and people understand it's like the hard work pays off, and it's still a trophy, but people only see the grip and grin. They don't understand the hours and that you put in behind this and growing him up, because it's like you need him to breed, and you want to make sure that he's able to breed as many times as he possibly can, because it's like that's our main focus, whether it be muleys, elk, red stag, whitetail, grouse, all that fun stuff. That's our main focus on it. So then you said you also got the Huntland podcast, or give us a little background on that.
Yeah, so through the Where2Hunt podcast, my big focus with that, short of connecting the community, is building relationships. And I've been able to do that, and I've met some outstanding people like yourself, right?
Thank you, appreciate the kind words.
Stem from that, and through doing that, I met a gentleman, Greg Tubbs, who turned out that he lived near me, and he had been engaging with the content for a couple of years now. And we were always, let's go shoot bows, and they were always so busy, so it didn't happen. But he stayed engaged, and then through that same podcast, I met Jeff Genke, who used to be on the Hunting Beast team with Dan Infalt.
Okay.
They amicably had parted ways with that, and Jeff was looking for some other things to do in that same vein of creating content and educating people. And so him, myself, and Greg Tubbs came together. We got wings at the Neshota Clubhouse in Neshota, a couple beers, and we started just kind of talking about, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to do a podcast? And we all decided that step one, the foundation layer, is let's have fun. This is about having fun first and foremost. This isn't about making money. We're not going to get rich off this. We're not going to quit our day jobs. This is just a fun thing. And then the next layer on top of that scaffolding, as that base layer, was let's educate and inform people. And through practical knowledge, tips, and strategies and education. And so with that, we spun up a Facebook page first. So I do logo design on the side, so I made a logo. It seemed like people liked it, so we printed some stickers, and we're handing those out. You have one now, and Anthony Heller just gave him one, and doing that. And then the next logical step there was Instagram, and then the podcast. And so now we have, I think, 3 episodes, but the difference there, so Where2Hunt podcast is a live listener call-in, so I do that on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously to encourage and promote people to call into the show, making their show, not mine, so they can, I want to build a platform where the audience can connect with industry experts and personalities and give them that conduit that they normally wouldn't be able to have for Q&A style stuff. So there's that, and then the Huntland podcast, there's a lot of great shows out there that are the analog deer cam. They got the working class bow hunters. You got the East Coast guys out there. East Coast Bow Hunting Podcast. Yeah, Trevor. Yeah, he just he and I became friends on Facebook. We haven't had a conversation yet, but it's like, but we have the same mindset, because right now it's like it's going to be July. It's like us whitetail hunters, the season never ends, but it's it just kind of tunes our focus even more, because now it's like, how do we spend July, August, and then September? Because like for me, it's like I got the wedding, I got the little one, I got trips planned. It's like I got to figure out how to get out the field, because I haven't been out the field since December. But it's like I left my cameras out there; they're running great. Because the best part is like you get a better battery. And then it's like, granted, like the really cold Februaries really suck on the batteries, but once it warms up, you all of a sudden go from 30% batteries all the way up to 75% batteries. Oh, wow. So it's and also getting a nice quality camera too, as well. My newest one I want to try out, Spy Point. I got that for birthday/Christmas for my fiance. So yeah, she is very supportive of my hobby and my passion about this, because I just love doing this. This is my way of being Jacques Cousteau. It's like being able to travel around, talk to interesting people, because like just to think of like, in his day, if he had this technology and he's going out to all of a sudden, he's like, that's our Steve Ranella and Randy Newberg. But it's like, he's much more world renowned, because he's going to the Mediterranean, he's going down to Brazil, Chile, all that cool stuff. Yeah, which just makes for interesting content. But so the way that you're doing it, I admire and appreciate, because physically driving to have the in-person conversations, it adds a different element to the podcast that makes it a lot better. So for example, I had Dan Infalt on the show, and first I did it through a call-in, and it was good. It wasn't bad, but the night and day difference between having Dan on a phone versus in my house
Mm-hmm,
when we did the second show.
Yeah.
Night and day, way better. So I know that element is really important. To get back to like the Huntland thing is,
yes,
there's all these great podcasts. D-Rock is, I'm talking to D-Rock on the way out here with the East Coast. Such a great guy.
Yeah, D-Rock is hilarious.
He's cool. And anyway, so like Huntland is a 5 to 15 minute quick hit podcast, and we're going to introduce some long form, like maybe once a month or once every other month, depending on time, so we can get some more deep rooted content.
Right.
But for us, it's about doing things different rather than better. And we're not going to do another Hunt Camp podcast better than Working Class and better than East Coast. We don't have that time commit. I don't have the energy. I'm not going to do a better interview style podcast right now than some of the other ones that are out there. So we looked at the whole segment as a whole and thought, what can we do different? And no one's doing quick podcasts. They're all the other ones.
Yeah,
right?
it's all long form
and
conversation.
So we're not trying to take all his ear share away from that. We're thinking everyone's busy, including ourselves. If we give someone a 10 to 15 minute podcast, they can just consume it really easily, no problem.
It's very true.
And then they can replay it and replay it and replay it. And so it's interesting. And actually, the date today is June 29th. So as of July 1st, we bring on our first sponsor for Huntland, which is Gum Leaf USA.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, but it's really cool. We're happy to do it. They're European, handcrafted. Each boot is made by hand in Europe, and they're imported here to the U.S. And they're 100% rubber boots. So they're not. They don't have this other material, PVC, plastic. So
kind of like lacrosse, because like when they uprooted that to Oregon, I understood that, but then when I can't remember the Japanese company, then they moved all of that over there, and it's like Danner boots are awesome. Lacrosse are just too expensive for what they are, and it's like I like the higher quality stuff because like us as hunters, we appreciate the hard work in it because it's like you're building a brand, you're building a family in a sense.
And so I've got to try them on because before we stepped into that, we stepped into it. Pun intended. We had to try the boots out, and I equated my personal subjective opinion on it is that they are the comfort of Crocs, but in a boot, you get the flexibility, the grip, and the durability that they're not going to get punctured, they're not going to wear out. So we're excited to see where that goes. But in any event, that's what that's all about, and things are just progressing really rapidly there. It's taking off a lot faster than mine did for Where2Hunt. So that's a team effort. I think that's what having 2 other people on there does.
That's what I agree with 100% with, because all the sponsorships that I've been able to do, these are people that they don't pay me. I pay them because it's like I love their product. They're tried and true. They're American made or veteran owned. It's what I like. It's like I want to promote stuff that's here stateside because guess what? Our taxes get like that money stays inside the country, and it helps us as a whole to avoid another recession.
Yep. That's cool. And I like your ability to navigate those types of topics. That's one where I don't have that. And I brought some people on from Backcountry Hunters and Anglers Wisconsin chapter, Jeff Gerard, twice now, and he's able to take me through some of those topics.
That's why I sat down with TJ, because TJ is very well knowledgeable on how to work around it and make sure everything's well educated. Because like listening to him and his passion about dealing with the railroads, because like the railroad situation affects me the most because I live in La Crosse, and it's like the BNSF Railroad controls all of that riverfront that we can't get over, because like if we cross it, we get in trouble for it.
I'm sure people do it, but then you get in trouble. You're like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Or they don't realize that that's what's going on here, and it's like, and it's great. It's just great. And it's like being part of this outdoor community. It's like the way you get into it, you just got to insert yourself.
Start talking to people. Yeah,
that's essentially how it is. And it's like I got my start in the outdoor industry 5 years ago by a gentleman named Toby Lumberg. And what he introduced me to was the diamond peep, which I'll show you on my boat with me. And what it is he thought he wanted to create an iron sight, which was easy, fast alignment and more easier to find your target acquisition quicker. And his company's name's Red Dead Outdoors out of Cody, Wyoming. Yep. My whole idea was getting on Twitter. It's like I wanted to meet people where I knew that you had to have a guide, where I didn't have to pay for a guide service, and just meet people. It's like that's what I want to do, because like one day I'm going to be in the old folks home. It's like, I want to remember like this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and stuff like that, because it's like the world, our life is so short, and I want to live the most of it. And when I reached out with Ryan Nordahl from Osseo, this gentleman, he is living the life to the fullest. I mean, he has his family, he has his business, he also does his epic whitetail wilderness habitat, and it's like the way he analyzes things is like he's so super laser focused. I just sitting down with him, it's just great. And we had a nice discussion about spirituality and God, stuff like that, how it's played a role in ours, and it was a really fun podcast. And it's like the guy is definitely passionate. It's like I want to do the exact same thing with this podcast and meeting people and driving the 2 hours to come to here and camping out in the wilderness and enjoying all this is just fantastic. Yeah. There was a raccoon. And it's like I wish I would have seen it because then it's like I would have put it into it. There's a raccoon jumping through Nate McCree's garbages and stuff like that. I wake up and it's just garbage all over the place. But I did my due diligence, pulled all that garbage up, threw it in there, and put it back in there. So this way it's good to go.
Nice.
So where's now you said you are also merging something else too?
Yeah, so I finally am starting to talk about that more because it's been in the works for close to a year. And assuming all goes well, it's I equate it to closing on a house. Until you have that key in your hand, it's not done, right? And in fact, I got to experience that firsthand. We bought a new house this last winter. The buyers we had for our existing home at the time, the night before closing, we were going to go close on the house at 9 a.m. And the night before at 6 p.m., we found out that the buyer of our current home at the time lost his job. And so then the whole deal fell through, and we had to go find another buyer and go through it all over again. And so, as far as the merger and acquisition goes,
it's best to leave it on the burner until it's actually ready to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I had talked to a couple different publications, so there's some canned written stories that are ready to go once the deal goes through. But to give you the long short of it, essentially, Where2Hunt, the technology that is the Where2Hunt app. So if anyone doesn't know what that is, and there's probably many that don't because I don't have a lot of marketing dollars to pump out to the whole country. That started as an app for me to back up more, I guess. I hunt public land exclusively and almost primarily. It's very rare that I'll ever hunt private land unless someone gives me access to it. And even still, it's not common. So when I go out to public property and I get in my spots, back then it was a red flashlight, right? Someone would whistle at you, whatever it was, to notify you that, hey, I'm already here, pal. Keep going, or vice versa, right? You would be the guy, I'm sitting right here, don't come by me, please, keep going. And so I had this epiphany, like there's got to be a better way. We all have cell phones with us now. This isn't new stuff anymore. So I wanted to do the digital version of that quote-unquote red flashlight. And I thought, it would be neat if I get to a parking spot on a public property, I see these other vehicles, I open up an app, and I could see where these other dots were. And it's interesting that the response initially when I released the app was, why would I share my spot with someone? I don't want them to come where I'm hunting and take that from me. My approach is, I want to stay away from these people if I see some dots on the map.
Oh, yes. I can understand that completely.
And so that's the premise of the app. And then, after the first version, I got that visceral response of, I'm not going to share my spot. I created a private version where you can go into a private group and you can use it amongst your own hunting party, incognito of the rest of the public community. So there's two kind of versions of it that exist. It's free to use. There's no point of entry. You don't have to enter your email. You don't have to give me any information. You open it and it starts working instantly, just like that. There's no friction, and I like that about it. And some people say I'm missing out on all sorts of email capturing and marketing, and I don't care. I want to do what's right by people and just make it easy. So it's totally anonymous unless you pay for the group feature, and at that point you make some generic username and you can use it amongst your own hunting party.
Makes sense, yeah. Yep. I don't use the app because I hunt primarily private because it's like
not a need then.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily for me, but it's like I would when I actually have to be able to go out, because you've seen how big my truck is. That is not a cheap vehicle to drive, so it's like I have to be very strategic about it. It's like, and if I had a much more fuel efficient vehicle, then I'd be able to make these trips to.
You might want to get a Prius.
Well,
or a Tesla.
We do when I shot my fiance's car. Her trunk is so large because it's a Ford Fusion from 2008, so it's the bigger trunk.
Yeah,
we managed to put a full size buck in there. Nice. It's like, so I managed to put the head in there, fold the seat down. Yep. She went around to the back seat and she grabbed the antlers, and I had to lift all the body weight by myself up and into it, and it's like we made it work. We got it done. So it's like that helps, but it's like last season her work schedule, she was working Saturdays and Sundays. So now she has moved to a situation where she's working Monday through Friday and Saturdays and Sundays off, which is fantastic. Cool. And she works for Marine Credit Union. And so she's really excited about it because they also have what they call insurance for your loan. So if you lose your job, they can help you with that. If there's a death that happens, there's a death benefit where it pays off that stuff. And it's a very valuable tool to have. Something bad happens, like gap insurance for your truck, for your vehicle.
Yep.
So it's like now it's like we're going to be able to do that. So just like, and we got pay raise, and then I got a pay raise. So it's like, well, now we can be able to make this work. And then my sister has a great fiance. He loves to hunt too. His schedule is he does rotating shifts. Okay. So it's like they let us stay at his place when we go hunting. So now instead of taking a 70-mile drive, we get off work on Friday, and so Saturday morning it's only a 15-minute drive, and we're right there.
Nice.
So it makes life much easier for us, and plus it also gets time to spend with my sister, and then her future husband he's just a really good guy, better than Alaska. Alaska was a complete douchebag.
Sure.
He was a
douche. Good to hear.
Oh, he was a douchebag. Nobody liked him at all. And it's like, because it's like listening to my sister say, she started taking depression pills for it. And it's like, and then once he was gone, it's like the cloud was gone, and it's like I'm finally glad you found something that's like it's comparable for you. Mm-hmm. And then here's a funny story. A couple weeks ago, or back in Mother's Day, we were out fishing in Lake Okoboji, and I'm listening to 15 men, all been married for 15 plus years, and they're all talking about like what their wives won't let them do. And it's like, did you guys go after these women because they're pretty? It's like, what do you expect? It's like, I want someone that was pretty and awesome. So it's like, it worked out for me, so it's pretty awesome. Because it's like, she likes the outdoors. She's like, her wedding ring was not a ring, it was a firearm. How awesome is that? And she liked to bow. So it's like, when the gentlemen that are like thinking about marrying or starting to date women, it's like we're at a point in time in life, pay attention to that. Because it's like, if they're going to hold you back from your passion, don't waste your time with that, because the divorces are expensive. And believe me, my dad went through one and it cost him a lot of money.
Yeah, not to mention like mental anguish they had to go through.
Oh yeah, he was telling me it's like 2 weeks prior to a major event, his life was a living hell, because like my mom would make him do all the chores and do everything that needs to get all the honey-do list before he could leave. And it's like, mine's like, let's go, let's just go. It's like, these can be fine. We can come back to it later.
Mine today, she's like, I was thinking about coming with you, but I think it just might be better if you go and then come back home and we'll have a good night.
There we go.
That one, and she knows. And tomorrow I have to go meet with a new potential sponsor for the Huntland podcast with Jeff and Greg. And I'm like, this is a pretty cool opportunity. I'd like to go do it. She's like, cool. I mean, she's rolling her eyes a little bit, but in a sarcastic, fun manner.
But the nice thing is she understands is when the new one comes, you're going to be there as a solid father and a dad to make sure that everybody's taken care of before you sacrifice everything else before you can do something else. The nice thing is like when your little one gets a little bit older, then it's like, well, now it's like, let's go fish and let's find out what you like.
I'm really excited for those days.
Because you have your oldest is a daughter, right?
She's going to be 2 in September.
So she's still got a little bit of time yet.
A little crazy right now. And then we're having a baby boy in October. So they'll be about 2 years apart, and we'll see if October actually ends up being the day or the time.
Fair enough. Yeah. Because like I was listening to Pat Durkin, he was talking about like when he was planning his kids, he made sure it never fell during hunting season.
Yeah, I'm getting real close.
Yeah.
Like, but, I got, when I had my daughter, it was funny because I think it was like, I had a bit of a dry spell. I think a year or two dry spell. Actually, no, since I met my wife, I hadn't gotten a damn deer. And previous to that, I was good for 5 years straight. And then my daughter was born in 2017. And I got a doe with my bow, and then I got a buck with my gun that same year.
Very cool.
And so I was like, look, she was born, and look what happened. So she's
good
my lucky
omen.
Charm, yeah.
So that was like, so you'll always have that special moment with her.
Yeah.
Because like with mine, it's like when she was 4, I had the deer up and Holston like introduced her to it, and so she's like reindeer. It's like, we're gonna have that for lunch and dinner. So and we're still eating off of it and such.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. Yeah, because like I'm not really always looking for sponsorships. It's like I'm always looking like, what product do you have that's like it presents value.
And that's kind of where we're at too. Like we're pretty strategic about what's going to fit with what we're doing.
I like Easy Cut. They're based out of Illinois.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And those guys, it's like I bought their product. I met the VP in Warren's, and I saw a saw, and I look at, and it's like, Fine, let's get it. So she bought me the saw, and we got the sheath for it too, and it works fantastic. Easy cuts are one of those things that I just applied for their pro staff, and it's like, and I got it and told them, it's like, I'm part of the Bucks. I do the host and stuff like that. And it's like, and if you bring me on, I'll always speak about your product and how well it works, because what makes it so unique is that it cuts on the pull. And the forward and the stroke, so back and forth. So it's always cutting. The way they have the blades organized is that it always has a way to expel the dust. So this way it's not clogging up your saw. Because I mean, I've used all of them that you can buy. I've used all of them that you can buy out there, from Ozark Trail to Gerber. They're good products, but it didn't hold up season after season where this one did. And it's American made, and it's close to in the heartland here, and plus there are a whole hierarchy of different. Products here. Those, if you're hearing, there's a couple young ladies here that are here with their parents, and they're all supportive, which is fantastic to see. We greatly appreciate you guys coming out and supporting your family members, because it's good to have the young kids there. Plus, it gets you out of the house, and you're not sitting. I don't see a forehead. I don't see the back of the top of your head. I actually see your face instead of saying like nose buried into a tablet or a cell phone.
Looking out this pretty view of this window, this screen.
I know, it's just absolutely gorgeous out there, man. And yeah. Was there something else that we should talk about?
Well, yeah, I mean, just in general, I have a pretty positive outlook on life. I don't complain about things, and I hope that if the merger goes through, to go back to that. I use the word if. It's normally not part of my lexicon. I try not to speak that way. I try to speak in foregone conclusions and absolutes if I can. But I think we're shooting for an August 1 deadline of inking the deal, and at that point, some really exciting things are going to start happening on a major national scale. So, we'll have a backing of a very strong team. There's some VC money that's going to be kind of funneling into that to build out, what already does exist in the segment. What we're calling Airbnb of hunting. The challenge of accessing public land is it can be crowded. Some people might think it's dangerous. I don't necessarily believe that to the fullest, but it's a challenge. The alternative right now is you can lease land, or you can buy it, or you can try to find
permission.
Correct that. So there's those alternatives. This is just introducing another alternative. Instead of leasing for a larger amount, for maybe, let's just throw a number out there, $50, I can go hunt this property that's 10 minutes away on Saturday. And I'll be the only one on that property, and I won't have to pay an arm and a leg to do it, and I don't have to deal with public land. And, it's so that's the model to a degree. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's as much as I'll kind of dole out there for now. But the where to hunt comes into play, the technology that I have under the hood there, it's a lot of custom code that created that under the hood for the new entity. The problem that exists in the market right now with that space, and it's a very new space, is the landowners, they want some sort of awareness around, A, when is a person getting to my property, and B, where are they going? Because they've been burned by people showing up at maybe the wrong time, wrong day. They bumped into other people that were trying to access the same property.
That's a good point. That opens up a very nice conversation. Continue.
And they have trespassed onto bordering lands and pissed off their neighbors, and then they pull out and they don't want to be part of that program anymore. And so then it kind of collapses on itself. So where to hunt, the technology comes into play there inside of that entity is that the landowner now has awareness. They know when the person got there. There's an alert that'll pop up and say, oh, your hunter has checked into your spot, and it's real-time live tracking. Right? So now that we know where they're going, and then we can, as a business, can analyze that data to optimize those properties to say, well, it looks like people are spending time here but not here, and why is that, right? And as we, we're also purchasing and acquiring land inside of opportunity zones. So there's a tract in Virginia that's fairly large, 200 some plus acres on a river. That's a property that we're going to own. That's going to be stamped with a new business entity as a post when you walk in. It's going to have information about what you can do. But as we track what people are doing in that property, again, we can optimize it, right? Like, are they not getting good easement to that river? Can we make it better? Can we plant some food plots here for, like, whatever that looks like? Because it's not just hunters, it's all sort of outdoor recreation, whether that's flying a drone, bird watching, hiking, biking, fishing, kayaking, you name it outside. That's what the entity is going to be all about, is providing access to outdoors for anything and making it easy.
I think that's a very valid point because like the lands I've hunted over the years, I've had a really good relationship with the landowners where I don't have to text them or anything to tell them where I'm coming on, because where I park at, it's like either park in public on a public spot or I park in his driveway, but I always make sure I'm away from where he is at so we can get in there. And it's just like, by seeing that, it's like he just knows that I'm out there, because I asked him, do you want me to text you? Do you want me to call you?
Yeah,
It's like, don't worry about it. Just like, when you're out there, I know you're going to be out there. I know you're going to be the only one out there. And he told me, he's like, you have complete control who's allowed to be on there. And it's like, it was great because it's like, I only bow hunt. So it's like, if there's going to be somebody else out there, they're only going to be bow hunting, because there's a couple of houses nearby. And it's like, I don't want them to run the risk of shooting through the animal. In this way, at least with an arrow, it's going to stop inside of it or do a complete pass through. Yeah. But I completely get that, because I know Steve Ranella and Where2Hunt, Mark Kenyon, they talked about that and like how to approach landowners and how to maintain that communication, and listening to the horror stories that he's went through. And it's like, that stuff is really like eye-opening to me. It's like, I even print online here in Wisconsin, you can print off waivers that you can provide to the landowner. It's like, here, I'm asking permission here if you want to sign a waiver or anything like that, and stuff like that. And then the landowners that know about hunting, they know the value of how priceless private land or public land is. It's like them being there, like, they understand. It's like, they're not going to mess up their knees or their back or take them to court, because it's like, they understand I have prime real estate. It's like, they're not going to mess this up, because then it's like, well then, because like as people move away or move on, it's like, well then now he leaves that gentleman or that landowner with the good taste in his mouth for the next person that comes up and asks. And like what sealed the deal is like, he was really appreciative of how we asked. And we just asked like, hey, can we come on hunt here and stuff like this? Like, go right on ahead. I greatly appreciate it. He said there's another guy that hunts out here. He doesn't have the time to do it, but he would like some help. It's like, that's fine. Let's get us in touch. But we never had it. I think his circumstances in life has changed, so it's like, I don't think he has the time to do anymore. So, but I had no problems welcoming him to hunt the land too. It's like, this way now we have two minds working on the same property, and it's like, well, that could double the trail cams and that stuff like that, as long as you have, like, the time is like, because I did that with a partner, an ex-friend of mine, where we went together and we bought items together, like ground blinds and tree stands, and it's like, well, then it's like,
is it, and when can we use it? And
well, no, it's not like that. It's it was a separation of it all, because it's like, he did irreversible damage to my ear, and he laughs about it, and it's like, it just irks me, and it's like, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I just can't deal with it. And plus, the continual lying about it was really bad. So it's like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, like, well, if I get rid of him, well, this maintains my relationship. And I told him, it's like, it's only going to be me and Alicia, my fiance. So it's like, it's going to be fantastic for the two of us. I wish she was to be able to be here to meet you, but she's currently, actually, she should be finishing up with her fitting. Oh, nope. Actually, her fitting's in 15 minutes.
There you go.
So yeah, so she's going to get her gown, get her wedding dress fitted and such.
The hard part about that is I can't send you pictures.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, it's a whole thing about it.
Well, show me. I think I get it.
So she's all excited about that and giddy. So it's like, nice things. Everything is all coming together, which is fantastic. I mean, she's got a great family support, which is what attracted me the most to her, because it's like, she has a good relationship with her mom and her dad, and she's got a foundation where she wants to go. It's like, now just trying to. My goal is to help her navigate life to where she finds her passion, because I love the outdoors. Absolutely. I wish I would have found it before I went to college, because I would save myself thousands of dollars in debt, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm against similar. I wish I had a fraction of the wisdom I seem to have now when I was younger. So I'd be a lot farther ahead, I think. But
okay. to quote Joe Rogan, we're still idiots. We still don't know what's going on here. We're still in the mid-30s. It's like, we still haven't hit our 40s or 50s yet, because there's people listening to this that have all spectrum of ages, and I'm sure they're going to laugh about this segment here. It's that we're always constantly learning. It's like, and the biggest thing is always open your eyes, and like, I've always learned, if your mouth, just keep your mouth shut, your ears open, and things will work out for you. Like, for an example, like when there's people that want my help, but they go through other means instead of just coming straight to me. Oh, sure. And it's like, in order to, I don't find that respectable. It's like, if you need help, come to me, because it's like, there's more than one way to tie something on. And it's like what I like about the electronic world now is that we can collaborate.
Yep.
It's like collaborating with you and hopefully sit down with Anthony and then working with people all across the world, all across the country.
Ecosystem, everyone kind of helping out.
Because the way the work, like the way Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe and all these guys have become so popular and so successful is the collaboration with everybody else. It's just because everybody's enjoying and having fun.
Yep. Then you're crossing these streams and you're kind of reverberating out from that by having these types of conversations.
And seeing you have to drive home, so otherwise we'd be sharing a glass of whiskey right now.
Yeah. I do like my scotch.
Yes, or myself too. It's like there's a couple of really cool mail ordered, like how you got the mystery boxes for like fishing and such. Yep. You can do the exact same thing with whiskey and scotches and stuff like that. Cool. I think it's a really swell idea because this way you're always trying new stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, I know you want to get back out and start filming some folks out there.
They're still on another heat right now. They're about ready to start. Looks like Brian is going to. It looks like he's talking to another group or something because I see they got the arrows out there and everything. So just getting all that stuff taken care of. Plus, in this way, maybe I would like to leave this stuff set up so this way then I can bring other people in. So
that's a great choice.
Yeah. But thank you for your time, Eric. Thank you for coming down here because if not, it's like I was already figuring out how to make sure what time I need to leave tomorrow to get to your house to get back.
This works great
across town. So it's
great. Plus I didn't mind the drive, and I'm really happy to finally have met you. There's something about meeting someone face to face that has a different response than just doing over the phone. So
it is very true. And it's like, and then after this, it's like I'm going to pick your brain about how do I bring in a cell phone or Skype into this because I'm using Audacity, so that's really easy to work with.
Yeah, it is. That's what I started with,
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Pay attention. You can find all of the platforms of Bucks of America podcast. And Eric, where can they find you?
Sure, just go to Where2HuntApp.com. That's the word where, WHERE, the number 2, or the word 2, TO. Huntapp.com. And then Huntland is HNTLND.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.